older, and you're like, yeah, I can't do that anymore.
Right.
Fucking shit.
No seltzer
So yeah.
water. It's always. I guess it's a. Obviously the body, the evolution of get this camera out here. Keep fucking looking at this one. It's the evolution of like just your body or de-evolution. Is it evolution
Yeah,
or is
yeah,
it
yeah.
de-evolution? You know.
Yeah, that's a good
It's,
point. It could be either, right? Um,
yeah.
I like to look at it as like, yeah, I mean, it's like nature's trying to push you out of the way little by little. You know,
Right.
it's like just shoving you
Yeah.
aside. It's like,
Right. It's yeah. It's like yeah. We're gonna eliminate this guy soon.
yeah,
He's like
yeah,
yeah. We'll give him more things to worry about.
yeah.
That's really it.
Starts off with like small things, like maybe a little more tired in the morning. Maybe like
Right.
you stay in bed a little longer. You like you stub your finger, and then like you're like, damn, it's kind of hurting for like a little too long, right? 2 3 days of like a little bit of ouch, you know. And
It's
then it's like in
true.
your face, like hangovers are horrible. Training is
Oh.
horrible. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yep. And all has to do with recovery,
yeah. All
right?
has to do with recovery.
Like,
Yeah,
right? Your hangover is terrible because you can't recover. You can't go
right.
to work all day long after doing a bender for 4 days. Like
Yeah.
you're done. And when you lift,
Oh
we'll
yeah,
talk about that later. It's like when you lift, it's fucking the recovery.
yeah.
I literally went into the gym this morning. I took the dogs to the park at 4:30. I make them run, so it's that their
Hmm.
exercise because they got to do it. And I was like, okay, you lift. I got my double pull day, so it's like RDLs and like pull ups and stuff like that. And I got there, and then I just walked out because I was like, I literally just walked out. I was
That's
like, because I'm
awesome.
going to get hurt. I'm going to get hurt if I push this workout because I'm sore from yesterday. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, if this was 10 years ago, I'd be like, I could do 3 more
Oh
today.
yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
Yeah, man.
I also think it's even during, I noticed nowadays when I'm training. In the past, I would be more open to doing some really harsh sets, like high
Right.
rep, kind of heavy. And then now, like, there's a mental aspect where I go, right, and now I'm thinking ahead of time, like, okay, if I do this set, the next set's gonna be even worse. I might even get sick later on, like during the session, and I'm, I'm like breaking down. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna be so sore I can't walk, and I got to do this and that. It's like you're sort of anticipating now, like what could come. In the past, I'd be like, "Fuck it, I don't give a fuck," like
Right.
I could
Right.
crush myself, and like it'd be great if I was limping tomorrow, and like yeah, the approach has changed so much.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's
for
kind of amazing.
sure.
Yeah,
Isn't it weird that we say that? Like we say, you're listening to your body. You're
yeah,
doing auto regulation, which
yeah.
is proved to be probably one of the best ways to train for
Hmm.
longevity. And the Russians and the Europeans have been doing it. They work at the 80% and
Yeah,
85%, right? And it's just us that want to go like 110% all the time
hmm,
and feeling like that's gonna be better. But I guess it works for different people. Everyone's
yeah.
different, so.
I feel like I mean, you're so right. There's this. Um, I don't want to call it an imbalance, or maybe a sort of a misunderstanding of like, or a process of growth that comes when you're training, and because it's you have to be kind of, there has to be some toughness, right? You have to like work hard to get something back from training, or anywhere, right? If you're studying or you're going to work, whatever, and you can work too hard, right? Even though sometimes there may be some benefits from that, but I think um, it's always the work smarter, right? And
Right.
I think that's auto regulation, right? So where you use a little more intuition, you're more honest with yourself, with what you, maybe you can do it, but maybe should you, and you do just enough, right? And I think just enough is great, rather than going 110%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
I agree 100%,
right, right,
because we've all been there, and
yeah,
I've been at that phase of only going 110%. Like there's
right,
nothing less.
right.
It's just that sports athlete mentality that kind of you get ingrained
Yeah,
into.
what you need, I
And
think, that's good.
yeah,
Especially game time, right? That's where you go
right.
200, right? It's where it
Right.
matters. And
And I feel like
yeah,
that's where most people think they're training.
right,
I
the
think they're always
training.
training
Yeah,
in game time. It's like it's not.
it's not.
It's not.
It's not the championship, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not
but
yet.
practice. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just joined us, we're just talking,
Oh.
so no, it's okay. I just went when we started recording. We were talking about like the evolution versus de-evolution of the body. Are we actually, things that we're? I'm allergic to 1,000 things now. Edwin can't drink seltzer water for some reason. It just gives him some bowel problems and it's little things like that. Are we actually evolving anymore, or now are we
Right.
de-evolving?
Right.
But it's its own place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Really annoying. It's
yeah,
all right.
it's so stupid.
Yeah. It's so silly.
But on that
Yeah.
note, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Jersey to Vegas podcast. This is Pete. I'm here with Edwin Vera. Say hi, Edwin.
What up? Got the
Yeah,
shirt on?
thank you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that. That was my favorite colored crank shirt. It was just an off like that military
I love
green
it.
with the
It's
orange.
my
Just,
favorite
just
shirt.
it just made sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
What episode are we on? We're on episode number 24.
S-
Like I said, very conversational. It's my brother-in-law. If you guys don't know that. And but before that, really good friends at a gym called Club H in downtown Jersey
Oh
City,
yeah. It's
where
crazy.
I feel like anywhere I've worked after that, well, obviously I've only worked for myself, but like I feel even here now, trying to like kind of look for work, I don't think I always compare workplaces to the group dynamic we had there.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people willing to learn, everyone was new. We had two good leaders, and it just kind of like dictates like how I look at my work performance today. It's like I want to make sure I'm that type of leader. I want to make sure I have this type of team, and it kind of trickled down. But that's where we met.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
that's it.
It's funny about I always think whenever I think about Club H, um, that was the only time I think in my life where I was surrounded by in workplace where I was surrounded by people that really made like the work life thing was really felt like one thing. It's like it was my family there, and I loved everybody. We had good leaders. My coworkers were really smart, and they all did something different to elevate your game, and it was such a great time. We all trained together, um, gave each other a hard time, and pushed
Yeah,
each other. Yeah, and it was training was hard, right? Getting up early, going home late, and I love being there. It's great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we could
Yeah.
actually just spin off that. Like you started talking about it already. That training is hard, and if you didn't know,
Hmm.
Edwin transitioned from trainer, and he's been a trainer for a long time, like long, long
Yeah.
time in New York City, doing a lot of private clients, working at different gyms, and then obviously working in downtown Jersey City, and then again transitioning back to the city. But now he's computer guy. I don't know what the name. I don't know the name of
Computer man.
anything. Any career besides computer guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to butcher it. So,
Yeah.
but doing that challenge, like, what was the biggest challenge for you? Like, why did that happen? Like, what
Mhm.
happened there where you went from training to what you're doing now?
Well, there's a few. It was a few things. It was a few things, and it started actually. So the pandemic was the axe that split the log, right? Um,
Right.
I Once the pandemic struck, I was out of work, like many of us, right? And I was like, kind of like thinking to myself, like, I don't have any other skills, and I didn't see fitness coming back anytime soon at the time, and I was scared. I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I'm almost 40, and I need some type of security, and or like just do something. And also I was kind of like, I've been there where things get dark and your mental state changes. And the one thing I learned was just stay busy. So I decided to become a student again. And my client Vanessa, who's a great computer programmer, she always suggested to me, something to explore. I just never gave it any time, but now I find myself with a lot of time. So I
Right.
started. I went to free code camp. That's actually where the hat is at. I have to thank them. They saved my life. And I just like sat there every day and kind of like taught myself some computer programming. I started off with web development, um, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and um, I thought it was very cool, confusing, but I was interested, and so I decided about 2 months later, 2 months of that on my own. I was like, you know what? Let's since I was very confused all the time, which I still am. I decided, you know what? Let me immerse myself a little more. I enrolled to a boot camp. It was a 4 month sort of intensive where from 9 to 5 you were acting as a computer programmer, software engineer. I'll talk more about that in a second. But
Yeah, nice.
um, yeah, it was amazing. It was the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life. It was
Wow.
because it was completely out of um, my scope of what I was doing. What I was a trainer for 16 years, and that's all I knew, and I knew it well. And so now here I am, and working on things that require understanding of logic and completely different mentality, right? And it was really hard, and I struggled, but I made it through, um, and yeah, and there I am. But I'll say this: like one of the hardest things about that is once I was done with the boot camp, and you didn't have to be somewhere, like 9 to 5. I found myself now motivated, finding the motivation every day to sit down and challenge yourself on your own. It's really
Oh,
hard, um,
yeah.
and that really was like took I feel like a lot of discipline that I thought I never had. And there were some days really hard. Some things that, I think with computer programming and software, learning about that, uh, what was one thing you deal with all the time is not understanding something. And because really what you are is a problem solver. You have a problem, and how do you fix it? And in that, and while you're studying or trying to build something, you encounter bugs and or things you like. How do I do this? I don't know how to do it, and maybe something might not work, and you're just like banging your head against the table, and
Right.
until you have a breakthrough. It could come in an hour, it can come 5 minutes, and come a week later. I once I told this
Right.
funny story where I I was building a small tool for this friend of ours for his website, and it took me about a week, and like every night I go to bed, I was thinking about it, like, what can I do? What can I do? And I kind of gave up mentally. I was like, yeah, I'm going to tell him I can't do it. And the next day I woke up and I was like, it kind of like struck me. I was like, wait, what if I did this? So I scrapped the whole thing, did it over again, and it worked. And
Right.
that's exactly what it's like, doing this stuff. It's like you struggle a ton and you have breakthroughs. The struggling sucks, and that's like 90%
Right.
of it. But it's that 10% of the time where you make something work that feels amazing.
Right.
Like sometimes
Right. It's like
I feel like crying. Sometimes like when something works, you're like, oh fuck, it works, and you like get up, you like celebrate,
right.
and you feel like the king. And
Yeah.
I chase after that, which is it reminds me a
Got it.
lot of like training. When you hit a
Yeah.
PR, so you chase
Right.
after, right, doing getting
Right.
someplace new. Yeah,
Right. That's actually gonna. I was actually gonna run into that. It's like you talking makes me think about dialing into your bench press
right,
more. Like, why can't I get 405?
right.
It's like, why is this? Why am I stuck at 395 forever? Well, are you creating more tension? There's a lot of things that you have to kind of work through.
Hmm.
That your body may be different than another person, so you have to work through all these suggestions or these tricks in order to get that PR. And it kind of sounds like the same thing. You're problem solving. Your lifts. You're problem solving your body.
Right,
If someone's trying
right.
to diet, like it's the same thing. Like how come she could eat carbs and I can't? Like why, how come she's losing weight and I'm not? Like it's all problem solving and it's not going to happen all at once
Yeah.
sometimes, and when you do get it, which is wedding day, right? It's great.
Right, right.
It's great.
Yeah. Um, but to go back to it, like, the pandemic was the axe, right? It was like what that struck
Oh yeah.
but the log was splitting on its own. Like I towards the
Yeah.
end, and this too, like fitness was kind of changing, especially when social media hit. When was that? When Instagram started becoming a thing?
I'd say 2011. Not yeah, because 2010 was I was still doing
Right,
Facebook, and then Instagram started hitting about 2010, 2011 is when it started getting a little
right,
popular with just
right,
pictures.
right.
That's it,
Just
just
like posting your
pictures.
food.
Yeah,
Look at my
yeah,
salad.
and then Facebook took it over. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. This is me
yeah.
waking up.
And look at my latte. And I feel like, sorry, there's some honking in the background. Was that crazy?
That's all right. He's from New York City, everybody. I think
My hair
we're
is siren
we
too. Yeah.
understandable. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that hit, and then social media slowly was kind of like finding what it was going to do, right? Because it was like, here's my
Right.
latte, and now it was like, let me sell you something, right? And
Right.
fitness at the time was like kind of like learning to use that a little bit to sell things, right? Whether it's like uh, training plans or whatever. And so that
Right.
changed the game. I realized like a little bit where people started doing online training, um, and then many other things, right? They were following people. Maybe they're training on their own because they were learning stuff. So they didn't really
Right.
need a trainer, someone there. So that kind of like I felt it after a couple of years. It started to really kind of like affect my business because we're all doing really well. I feel like
Yep.
until that happened, like some of us got hit hard. And
Yeah.
so as I got older, there was some struggling in terms of like making my business work. Like um, and I was like kind of worried about the future, and I just didn't know. I didn't have a fix. So then I mentally, and I think I told you about this. I went through this where I went through a period of depression where because
Yes.
I was constantly anxious about my future and what I was going to do,
Right.
and what it was going to mean, and I was, yeah,
Uncertainty.
uncertainty, fear and uncertainty, and
Yeah.
it was just something that was just like on my back every single day, and I didn't have a solution. I kept saying to myself that if I did all the good, as people tell you, right? If you work hard and you
Right.
do all the right things, it'll all come.
Right.
It'll pay it back to you, right? I didn't really see that.
Yeah.
It just kept going down and
No.
down and down, and then I found myself in a bad
Right.
place, financially, um, mentally, and the pandemic really kind of like was like the So,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
really, really, um, yeah, that's what caused the change, the career change. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah. I totally forgot that pandemic was one of the reasons like that gave you the
yeah,
time as not as even though it wasn't time you it was time like you didn't want,
right,
you know, but you
yeah,
always wanted it, but it
yeah.
was there and you
I
took
did,
advantage
yeah.
of it. So it's
It's
awesome.
hard, like when I think about it, some days I still do. I get really sad, like because I do love fitness. I truly love it. I know you do too,
Right.
and that's it's not something I wanted to let go. Um,
Right.
and I still don't. There's still a little part of me that's like I get like maybe I could still do. um,
Right. Right. I got an hour on
yeah, yeah,
Wednesday.
yes.
I
Maybe
could do
somebody
it.
wants to see
Yeah.
me on Monday morning. Um,
Yeah.
and it's I still love it, and it makes me sad at times, but I think um, it's something that just had to happen, and you roll with the punches, and that's all you
Right.
can do.
Right. You just got to
Yeah,
keep busy,
yeah.
like you said, right? Whatever the transition is. And you started talking about fitness and how you feel, or like the change in it and how it kind of you saw it kind of you already talked
Hmm.
about it. Um, what is your opinion on fitness today? Let me explain a little bit more about that question. Edwin competed in powerlifting and was an avid competitor, right? It was something that you always looked for a next
Hmm.
meet to the next meet to the next meet, found friends that would, lift and kind of built this whole, even Nat, was a power lifter, just like, so we had this little group. Um, we used to get out of these meets in like 12 hours,
Maybe
maybe a
less.
little
Yeah,
less. Then that's masters, heavyweights,
yeah.
lightweights, female, children, right? Remember
Hmm.
the children that would just lift? Like, why is this kid in a bench suit?
Yeah,
And then now it's like a 4 day event just to get through it. That social media boom
it's
has
incredible.
really, yeah, really helped out the RPS guys. Gene, right? Gene. Oh
Gene
no,
passed.
Gene
Yeah,
passed, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, Gene
RPS.
passed.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
RPS. Did they say RMP or something like that? Lips per
Yeah,
minute. Yeah, RPS. Yeah, man. Oh,
yeah.
that's right. I
Sad.
forgot
Yeah,
about that. But
that man worked hard.
like they
Yeah,
exploded. They exploded. And like he finally saw like
yeah.
the fruit of his
The
labor
hard work.
before he left. He was at the
Hmm.
peak of it. And how do you feel about fitness now? And what do you think, the whole change up? I know you talked a little bit about it. Can you talk a little bit more about it on
Yeah,
your
it's
your end?
it's really it's hard to. I don't want to trash it. I feel like I will. It's gonna sound like I'm trashing it, but
Right.
I hope it's not taken that way when I say this. because I feel like it's become something that's like hard to traverse, like especially for, let's say, a beginner or someone trying to find what they're trying to get out of training, right? And I say that because
Right.
when we were training, I feel like it was. I remember this clearly, like, 'cause I spent years doing this, like trying to get people, especially women, to strength train. And man, to
Yes.
put a 2 pound weight in their hand was like it was as if it was something was wrong, like it was gonna poison them or something. And they're like, I don't want to get big. I don't want any. I want to be as tiny as possible, skinny as possible. And you're like in your head, like, in order to get there, you got to strength train. You want to be skinny, and
Right.
like you're not going to blow up into this
Right.
giant person. You whatever you have in your head is what's going to happen. But um, and then out of nowhere, it caught on. To my delight. I was like, okay, great. I can finally get
Right. Right.
my client. She now
Right.
wants to squat, and she wants to bench press, and she wants it's
Right.
deadlift, and
Right.
it just like tumbled into this out of control into this like social media craze of like a new trend of like strength training, powerlifting. We saw it with CrossFit and several other
Right.
things. But also what happened, this is really strange, still strange to me, is like everybody wants a big butt. It's things like that, right? Like these
Yes.
little amalgamations of trends that like now like create these little sects
Right.
and cults, and now I'm
Right.
seeing a lot on social media, like especially a lot of women who
Right.
are strength training, but they only squat, only deadlift,
Right.
booty bands, all these booty
Right.
products, booty, booty, booty.
That's it.
Yeah,
Booty, booty,
and
booty,
it's like
booty.
leggings that make your butt look good. It's this craze, and they're doing squats with the booty bands, and then hip thrusting, and they're doing all these lunges, and so that's and like
Right.
it's. And I get confused by it because I'm like, are we strength training here, or are we just like
Right.
focusing on making your hips very strong, or building
Right.
the size of the glutes? It's like this strange, like, is this like,
Right.
what's happening? And so that was a little annoying because I'm like, it's
Right.
the Futurama quote, like, or the meme with where he's like, you're like, what? I don't know what I'm looking at, what's happening. So that was a little
Yeah.
scary because I didn't really know what that meant or that what was happening to the fitness industry. I'm like, it's just now being sort of taken over by something dark and sinister. Because I could see that happening,
Right.
another few years from now. It won't be the butt thing, right? It'll be something else. And
Right.
yeah, and it could
What's
be
the next thing?
slightly unhealthy. Or as we're seeing, right, we're hearing more about social media sort of giving people the wrong um, idea of what the human body should look like, and all
Right.
these things that are happening. But yeah, that's it's weird. I think the fitness industry is under assault by you know about people trying to sell you things. People are trying to make you feel like this is how you should look and be, and it's gone away from, I think, being healthy and taking
Right.
care of yourself, um, being
Right.
strong, because it's good. We all know like what the benefits long term, especially, right, for your heart, your bones,
Right.
your mental state, uh, and now it's become something else. It's about like the image.
Right. Absolutely. I've never seen so many hip thrusts videos in my entire life. 5 years ago, no, 6 years ago, right? 6, 7 years ago, we'd line up the barbells next to the benches, and no one wanted to do it.
Nobody.
Nobody, and then nobody
Yeah.
wanted to do hip thrusts. As great of an exercise as they are, it's
Mhm.
annoying to set up. We get it, but now they don't care that they have bruises on their hips. Before it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to touch it, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to because then it's gonna make
Mhm.
me, this and that. Now they're all like rep 75 in one set. It's like
Yeah.
it's different, and I guess it's hard because you are a trainer and you are
Mhm.
passionate still, even though you're in coding, like you're passionate about fitness and working out. And when you see things that just doesn't make it does there's no sense to it. If they could explain why a little bit better, I'm sure everyone would feel at ease, especially trainers, but there's no rhyme or reason. You're just going to do legs every day because you just
Right.
want a bigger butt. But you're also gonna be stopped by your genetics at
Hmm.
the same time. Some people just have it, some people don't, and that's when you get
Yeah,
implants, I guess. I
I
guess,
guess it's like,
but it's
sorry,
yeah,
like I sometimes I think the what I always try to uh, I guess explain to someone, why, because they always like, why are you always so mad at him? Like, it's because I think the intentions are all good, while they're good, it's like
right,
the what's driving that person is like
right,
the image, like wanting to appease to someone else, like that you have
right,
a nice butt, or that you want a lot of
right,
attention, which is okay, you know. But
right,
I'm like,
right,
when that's not cool anymore, where are you going to go
right,
then? What are you going to do then? Yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
True. Someone texted me the other day. They're like, Pete, just want you to know. And people always say this, they'll let me know to confirm because I post a lot, because I'm marketing. I'm 100% marketing. But you fall into the trap of like a like does count. A like is like, okay,
Hmm.
they liked it, which means they may buy a T-shirt. They liked it, which means they may buy the book. They just remind me that it says, just your likes and the comments don't define who you are. And it's like a lot of people I feel their accounts are everything about them, and that becomes their identity. Versus like they have a different person, but now they're because it looks good. That now
Yeah,
they're obligated because now they have more thousands followers or even a sponsorship. Now they have to live up to this
yeah,
person, and it can
yeah.
beat you
It
up.
could
It can
be
beat you up.
a trap. I think, yeah, like you said, it could be a trap. Yeah,
Yeah, it can be a trap. Awesome.
yeah.
That was good. Got boogers. Man, boogers. Camera don't work today. Got boogers. Fucking flip flops.
That's
We
great.
got that. We got that. All right. You talked a little bit, and
Yeah.
you talked about your depression, and I kind of feel like that was maybe your darkest time. But this channel is
Hmm.
about mental health. What was your darkest time?
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you don't mind, could you kind of explain that period, and how did you kind of
Yeah.
move out of it?
Um, so I think my darkest time is when, um, I think the only people that, well, I guess I'll just talk about it now. But the only person, the first and only person I ever talked to about this was my sister Nat, where I admitted to her, that I was having suicidal thoughts, um,
Hmm.
and that was around, I want to say 2000, maybe 17, around there, where I was struggling again with my business, and it happened right after I stopped
Right.
powerlifting. Because now I found myself, I was like, I loved it, and I decided to step away from it. It was too harsh, and I was just, it wasn't productive anymore. It was, anytime I'd have a bad performance, or I wasn't, some programs, some cycles don't go well, it'll mentally beat you up. So then
Right.
I stepped away, and then that really affected me, because I was like, I didn't have an identity anymore. I felt like I'd lost that. I'm like, who am I now? And on top of that, my business was failing, and so my personal training identity was was slipping through my fingers, and my powerlifting had gone. So I'm like, who am I now? And then,
Right.
trying to figure out what I was going to do to sort of make my future very secure, and not be homeless one day. But so I was having, really dark thoughts. I was beating myself up every day, that I sucked, and that, no one loved me, and nobody wanted to work with me, and I was mad at everybody else for doing well. It's like this really, like,
Yeah.
spiraling downwards. And I was spending a lot of time alone, because at the time I was dating a girl, and she, was always away. She was a nanny, and so she would travel with his family, and so again I was spending a lot of time alone, and I was just like, just like talking to myself, and
Yeah.
uh, I got to the point where I was like, not even having to do anything with fitness, where it was just more like, this nihilistic, nothing matters. And I was thinking about watching history shows and learning that all these people are gone. They're and nobody thinks about them. So it doesn't matter if I'm here, because once I'm gone, it'll move on. Nobody's ever going to think about me, and like things like that. And just, watching nature shows and watching animals kill each other, and like, you're like, everything's horrible. life is pain, and,
Yeah.
and yeah, it just like it got really
Yeah.
dark,
Yeah.
and once I started having those thoughts, it was like, oh, what's happening? What am I doing?
Right.
And I spent a lot of days crying, um, being in bed, not wanting to do it. I didn't want to work out anymore. I didn't want to work anymore. I just was like, yeah, I kind of gave up a little bit, and I never seriously, I never got to the point where I was like planning anything out, anything like that. But there was heavy
Right.
contemplation where I was like, get like doing things like, maybe what if I drank a little too much, or how fast could I do? Like there, I started to scare myself. And
Right.
then one day, I after like doing that, too many times, I got really upset with myself. Like I had this. I don't know what happened exactly. There was an event. I just can't remember what it was, but I do remember distinctly, sort of being outside of myself and looking at myself and being disgusted with getting to the point of
Hmm.
what, like, I used to be very positive and like confident and used to work through things. Like,
Hmm.
why have you gotten yourself to this point? And I had like a serious conversation with myself where I was just like, kind of like, you are the master and the commander of your ship, and though
Right.
things are hard and difficult right now and you can't figure out how to solve this problem, it is your duty, and especially like being lucky enough to have been born at this time, right, in this day and age, and to be here
Right.
and to experience all this, and I was like, and you're throwing that away, over
Right.
something that many people have suffered even worse things, and you're gonna not stand up and try to do something about it. And I that kind of helped me a little bit. And now I'm not saying that fixed it all, but it definitely kind of gave me a little bit of like, take a deep breath, give it a moment of being, in that state of mind, but do something about it. Don't just, you know, um, you know, give up like that. And I tried to do that every day. Every day I told myself, fight a little bit, do a little more. If you're, because I think that's what, talking about depression, I've realized, and this is just maybe this is my own perspective. Um, the depression, I think, what I've learned from it is sort of a indicator, or like your nature's way, maybe, of sort of telling you like something's not right, and you've got to fix it,
Right.
or you're going to feel this way all the um, I know there are other
Right.
things, like there's more biological things, like whatever the chemistry in your brain has a lot to do with it, but I just think that it's a good way to tell the your body to tell you like, something's not right. There are underlying issues. You gotta address them, and I'm gonna make you feel this way until you
Right.
fix it. And so that I feel like
Right. Right.
that boosted me out of the situation I was in, and I started working hard to get past it, and to keep myself. So I started doing, maybe working a little more. I started working out a little more again. That helped. I started reading. I started just like staying busy. I didn't give myself a moment to really to sit down at home and kind of like, you know,
Right.
let those thoughts, like, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just like stayed busy. I was going to
Yep.
Muay Thai. I was training all the time. So that helped. And then it was addressing the problems, right? Okay. Like, why are you feeling this way?
Right.
And it was all those reasons. So and one by one, I started attacking them. I started saving more money. I, st- um, I started working a little more. I started taking care of my body. I stopped drinking as much. And it was just all those things combined, and practicing, being okay with being depressed, because I think also it's just a life. Depression is just I think a problem that everybody will probably have at some point in their life, because it's just part
Right.
of life. And I started telling myself,
Right.
um, this is something that you have to go through. Life is not always, you know, amazing and sunshine, and so you have to learn how to deal with this, and
Right.
how to manage it. Because if not, you're not going to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
No. No. You get into that trap. We were talking about traps before with social, but you actually talked about the trap of you brought it up. Um, Not like you shook yourself out of it. Like you were fortunate enough to have that outer body experience where you kind of
Yeah.
looked at yourself and you were disgusted. You know, like
Yeah.
who the fuck? This is not who I am. Like,
Right.
you know, because you really didn't know who you were. So you kind of needed that reminder. But if you didn't do that, that hole is so addictive to sit there and not want to get up and just blame everybody and
Yeah.
just cry and just sit there because you know what's you're not there's it takes work, you know. It's that 10% of work that you were talking
Hmm.
about. It's like it's really hard and it's really difficult to get there, but if you just start little by little just like you did, you know, maybe started moving a little bit more or saving some
Hmm.
money, something in the positive note, it becomes more addictive in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of
Yeah.
helps you out that way.
So true.
Yeah. So that was tight. Why do you think? What do you know why? Why is that? Like why the fuck is it so addictive to like feel like
I
shit?
think it's
You know what I
cathartic,
mean?
right? It's like, it's like,
Yeah.
it reminds me of like watching sometimes when you watch a movie, we like to immerse ourselves in that, and especially like whatever genre, right? Let's say horror. Like I know you don't, I know you don't like scary movies,
Right.
but some people like to feel scared, right?
Nope.
Some people want to feel the elation
Right.
of watching a romantic, movie about two people find, yeah.
Right.
And all those rom
Rom
coms, there's always
coms.
like a moment where the couple like they separate because something happened, right? And the movie's sad, and you like want to feel the sadness, So I think I think we all like to sort of feel more, and whether that's like um, you know, in one direction or the other. And I think so, and then
Right.
when you're sad and depressed and you wallow in it, I think there's something there, like where there's a part of you that enjoys feeling like shit, and it's hard for me to like
Yeah.
explain why. I think at the end of the day, it's just
Right.
um, maybe you just need to get that out, like especially like
Right.
and we all know like when you cry, I think there's studies that show that there's like a big huge release of dopamine or something or some kind of feel good hormone or something. Yeah, um,
Yep.
I think is again like I think your body puts you there because maybe you need to get that out. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
It's still an emotion, man. Emotions are
yeah,
they are addicting. You know, it's
yeah.
any type of endorphin, right? It's definitely, you know, whether it's good or
Right.
bad. You know, whether it's good or bad. And you said it perfectly before. It's like you're going to go through depression. It depends on the level you're
Hmm.
at or how you handle it. Um, and everyone's got to kind of deal with that point. And I always say that if you're at the point where you can't handle it anymore, that's when you find someone
Yeah.
else to help you with that. You know, I feel that's the dark secret that no one really wants to because they feel like even you said it
Hmm.
before, like who cares about me? No one loves me. I'm a burden.
Hmm.
You already think that way. You know, now we want to ask for help
Right.
when no
You're
one
afraid of
cares
the
about
judgment
you
too.
inside your mind.
I
You know,
now
that's
I
where we
like I
kind of
don't have a problem talking
yeah,
about it because I realize it's like you shouldn't have a problem talking about it. Like the how important it is to tell someone else how you're feeling. Um,
right,
because like we sort of all at the end of the day we all support each other, um, and it's
right.
difficult to do things on your own.
Especially that level.
Yeah.
Especially that level. It's pretty. It's you have to be one.
Hmm.
I don't know what type of person you are, but you got to be one stronger,
Yeah.
disciplined individual to be able to pull yourself
Right.
out. And if you
Right.
do,
Yeah.
good.
I find
You
too a
know,
lot of
good for
times those
you.
people
Good
they're
for you.
they're fucking weird. Like they tend to be like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to say sociopaths, but like like they kind of just like look out for themselves and
yeah, yeah.
kind of they can be a little
Right,
cutthroat. I don't know.
right.
This I'm not
It's
saying
true.
that's true, but
They're their
it
best
feels that way.
friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It could be true. It could
Yeah.
be. It could be perfectly true. It's fine. You also said depression. Actually, I'm working on a joke, and you actually said it, and I was like, "That's kind of funny." Like, what is depression? Depression is when you take all of your hate, anger, and all your fears, and you push it so deep down inside your body that your body's like, you know what? I'm not gonna do
Hmm.
shit, and I'm not gonna let you do shit.
Yeah.
until you do
Yeah.
something about this. It's like, yeah. So it's like one of those things you said. It's like it's your body just saying, you better do something about this shit,
Yeah,
or else
yeah,
you're gonna be
yeah.
down here for a long time.
It feels that way.
You know.
And
So
and to anybody out there who's like, I think about depression a lot. Like I think
yeah.
we get it. It's when you're there, it feels like you're never gonna get out. It feels like you're never gonna get out. It's like you
Right.
now you're here, and that's
No.
it. This is your life now. Um, I own
Right.
you. Yeah, and
Crazy.
yeah, and
Crazy.
yeah, I know you asked me. Like I think getting out. I don't think you ever do get out, and that again, like it might be. Hopefully, it's not a terrible thing to say, but I don't ever feel like I've gotten out. I think it's, and sometimes I wonder if it's a again part of life and part of getting older, and you've seen more, you've dealt with more, and now you're sort of um, worn down from life. You're like mashed down into a point where like it's something that's a part of you
Right.
now. You have your opinions and your perspectives and
Right.
about everything and everyone, and your point
Right.
of view gets so refined and so hardened to a point where now maybe it's like sort of this like piece of baggage that's part of you that never really goes away, and you just manage and you just learn to live with. And
Right.
now I just try to I work with it. It's like I keep it at bay. I make sure I do all the right things I need to do. That the things that make me happy and that I know will make me happy and they'll keep me safe and healthy. And I think that's how I fight it and sort of keep it away because I know it'll come back at some point. Because again, it's part of life, right? And so you just kind
Right.
of remind
Right.
yourself every day, like take care of yourself.
Right. That's a good point. That's a very,
Mm-hmm.
very good point because it is a piece of you. Once you
Yeah.
experience it, you can't forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you didn't even know you were in it. It takes a while before you actually realize, oh wow, I'm depressed. You're
Yeah.
sometimes just like, all right, I'm having a bad day,
Yeah.
but those bad days turn to like bad months. You know, and then it's like it's funny because I just did a journal entry today, and I was like, I just look back
Mm-hmm.
at my journal entry from last year, completely different. So if anyone that's listening to it that kind of feels hopeless or like this is
You can
it,
get out.
like you could get out.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been a year, and like even more so, those journal entries from the book that I have coming out is just completely different. And I'm like, who is this
Mm-hmm.
guy? Like, who wrote this?
Yeah.
But I understand. It's kind of you never really forget that piece of
Right.
your life that you
Yeah.
struggle
Yeah.
through,
Definitely.
and that's it.
Like you said,
You
and I
know,
think it's something that you hold on to and as a sort of like a reminder, or yeah, something you've learned. I've learned from it.
right?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, you're the first person when I. It's funny. You're the first person that expressed the
Hmm.
you know down dark side with me. When I
Yeah.
got out of the hospital, you were at the house, and you took me for a walk. And I was still like, you just got released. You think like you're in fucking
Yeah.
probation or something like that. You feel like you're so free,
Hmm.
but you're still
Yeah.
depressed. Like you still have those things you have to work with. And just listening to you open up a little bit
Yeah.
more, it helped. It helped to like um to
Yeah.
understand that people
I
go
remember
through this
that
shit.
day well
It's
because like
you're not by yourself.
I remember that whole
Yeah,
time well, because I love you, you know,
yeah.
and you were like I always talked about you. When we were at Club H, like there's this guy who works mad hard. He's like always doing crazy shit. I know he's serious when he's dragging a trash can behind him because he's going to, kill him, like to kill some workout. And so I was so
Oh yeah,
inspired by it, and you were always so excited to be at work, and you're always jumping up and down. Everything was, like I just was always admired your energy, and to learn that you were going through that, I was like kind of like this unstoppable guy too, and I went through the same thing, and um, I just like wanted to express to you that you're not alone, um, and that
right,
like I don't know exactly, of course, like what you were going through, but I can kind of
right,
like I felt it, and I just thought about
right,
how awful and how terrible you must have felt, and so yeah, I wanted to
right,
walk with my brother, like it's this guy I love, and I wanted to, make sure I said something to you before something terrible happened, or
Right.
or to let you know that that I cared about you a ton, and I was with you, I was there with you.
Uh,
I was also fighting. Yeah.
it was good to know someone was on your side, and it was really, I really appreciated it. And this is kind of like a good story here. Is like you never
Right.
know when someone's suffering, because on the outside they could be jumping and excited about life and
Yeah.
posting a bunch of great stuff, but
Hmm.
like deep down they're hurting. So
Yeah.
sometimes you got to check up. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just got to check up on people with this stuff. But
Yeah.
woo, all right, that's
Yeah, man.
heavy. This shit's heavy, but it's good. You need to be talked about. Let's go to the final question here that I have for you. Is there anything? I always ask this one. Is there anything that you wish that I asked you? Like, is there a
Mm.
question, a topic that we didn't talk about that
Ooh.
you would want to talk about?
You got it.
I'm gonna blow my nose.
Um, huh. I
Hmm.
guess like I always wonder. I spend a lot of time like thinking to myself. We were talking about depression, and like people like not talking about it or hiding it, and I
Right.
wonder sometimes, like, again, I always think about nature and what the connection to it, and I wonder sometimes, like, um, it's I think all of it's some deep rooted instinct to like not show weakness, because if you do, you'll get dethroned or something. Something funny, weird, like that we used to probably suffer in the
Right.
past a long time
Right.
ago when we were all like barefoot and like in caves or something. You didn't want your
Right.
a challenger to come along and see weakness, right? Because it's like animals
Right.
do this. They'll lions will pick out
Right.
the zebra that looks like he's like limping a little bit, and these animals will hide it. Or you see the gazelles, they'll jump really high to show the lion, like, not me, bro. I'll jump right over you, And
Right.
so I think
Right.
that's something inside of us
Yeah.
that, like, to an effect where kind of keeps us from being eaten. So you have to put on a face for everybody.
Right.
Um, but I think
Right.
that we're in a stage where we're slowly over the years, next 1,000 years, we're evolving to a point where we're also acknowledging that we're not going to cut each other's throats here. Like, let us, like, all get along.
Right.
We'll all talk about what we're going through. We'll all support each other, hold each other up. I think that's hopefully we're all headed. Maybe not. We're all seeing how all, like, how the world is sort of changing some. How people are maybe too sensitive, right? Um, I think it's hard to like try to figure out how to move through this environment, and find a nice balance where we care for each other, and but at the same time we also fight for what we believe in. So um, it's hard. It's tricky. Yeah.
It's truth. They
Yeah.
would say
Facts.
facts, I
FAX.
guess. Facts. Facts. It's
Yeah.
facts. It's facts.
Yeah.
But that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. We always have to put that face on. You
Hmm.
know, it's like go to work. That's no matter what. Like you got to put that face on. It's like that's one thing we always said in not only stand up but
Hmm.
in training. It's like show must go on, right? It's like they're here for you. This is a show. It's time for Disney. Like Disney people aren't ever upset, but it's the hardest job in the world to be that, to really perform at that
Right.
level. But maybe some of them don't feel
Yeah.
good that day, and
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting that
Yeah.
we go that way.
Also,
Thanks,
I
man.
was
I
also
appreciate
forgetting. It
it.
was like you talked about, you didn't know what
That
to
was good.
call me. Like the coder
Yeah.
for. So that's a funny thing, because like
Oh
when
yeah.
I was looking for work, like on your in your resume and LinkedIn, you're like you put down software engineer, and but I knew there was some people are computer programmers, coders, web developer, all these terms, and you realize,
Right. Right.
like,
Right.
I was like, am I an engineer? I'm not exactly building really deep and complicated architecture for some software, some app. I also wasn't programming computers. I'm just like messing around with like small snippets of code and or writing small algorithms that are like, you know, like that'll maybe add two numbers together, or maybe put a string of words together.
Right.
Um, but to build an app requires a lot more than that, right? You'll need your
Right.
UI, right? What the person's actually going to interact with, and then you need the back end, which is going to do all the things that you don't see happening. And you'll have to, and so those are engineers, these architects that sort of build uh, small modules of blocks of code that all do something different, but they all work together. Um, and they organize that in a way where you
Got it.
now you have an app, you have something that you sort of interact with, and it does cool things for you. So those are so I wouldn't call myself really a software engineer. If I have to stick to the semantics of it, but I would say at this stage, I would call myself a coder. Like, I don't know if that's an official term, but I think it sounds cool and I like
Okay.
it. But I think when it's business facing, when you're putting your resume together,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, you want the person to sort of notice you. um, and you want to use like the highest
Right.
tier of I guess what you would brand yourself as. But yeah, there's so many, web developers, a person
Gotcha.
that, like, I guess they'll build websites, and then computer programmers, they'll program the computer to do certain things for them. um, yeah, and you have there's DevOps, there's data scientists who like just deal with data and consuming that and spitting it out. And so yeah, there's all these terms, and hopefully, I think hopefully I'll find a day, or I'll find myself in a time where I can say, this is what I am, this is what I do best. So I'm still looking for that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, trying to figure it out.
Right. Trying to figure it out. Yeah. I can't believe like the how you had to
Hmm.
just pick up this whole lingo
Yeah,
and this whole new language or
so many.
languages, right?
I don't even
There's
know.
how many
Yeah.
languages in this field? Like I can't imagine. If there's that
Hmm.
many titles for like software engineer, like how many more, what is it? It's and just to like go from something that's completely, I would say science, right?
Hmm.
But not computer science. It's just
Oh
learning
yeah.
all this new stuff has got to be
Yeah,
challenging. Like
yeah,
it's had
so
to be
so challenging.
super
I mean, but I
challenging,
look back, I've been doing it about a year
you
now,
know?
a little over a year, and I know so much, but I know so little.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of crazy. Like, I
Right.
and I look
Right.
forward to the next couple of years, like 5 years from now. So now, like, I have that perspective because I knew what it took. Right, powerlifting, when you start in the beginning, you're not that strong, and
Right.
you're trying to get strong. But after 10 years of doing it, you look back and you're like, man, I got strong,
Right.
and I got pretty good at this. And so I know that time is
Right.
my best friend at this point. So I look forward to, like, I know where, if I do all the right things, right? If I like practice like I did in powerlifting, if I practice every day and I do a little something and I learn something new and I challenge myself and I build on that. And if I do that all the time, and I know if I look back, 365 days, I'll be like, wow, I got to a good place, and you just keep doing that, um, and just try to be patient. So I think
Right.
that's the trick. Yeah, over and over again. Yeah,
Over and over again. That's dope. Hell yeah.
yeah.
That's a good one. I think it's a great way to close this out today.
No,
It's
man, that's it. That's it.
anything else
This is
you got?
fun, man.
Anything else
Yeah, I
you want
love
to talk
this.
about?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Yeah,
that's
it
my
was
first
awesome.
and only
This is
one. This
great.
is pretty.
Is your
I was
first
telling
one?
Bria, I was like, damn, I'm kind of nervous.
Whoa. Well, welcome.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, yeah,
I heard her washing dishes in the background.
yeah,
She was like, "See what happened? Tea back
yeah,
there."
yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. This
man.
is
Like
it's fun. This
it
is
was cool.
awesome.
So I
I
do
love what you're
appreciate it.
doing. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully we'll do it again. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm down. I'm down. All right. Well, let me do some stuff here. I'd like to shout out our Patreons, guys. Thank you so much for all the stuff you've been doing, helping out the channel. If you guys are interested in doing or becoming a patron, go to patreon.com/Jersey to Vegas, and you can find all the information there to help the channel build. Because obviously, the more you guys, I guess you could say, donate, the more better. That's not. It doesn't matter because the new camera that we got doesn't work anyway. So you're actually seeing your money do nothing. So I appreciate it. Um, and give out a shout out to our sponsors, Greenville Coffee in Jersey City and Boost Fitness and Boost Training in Nutley, New Jersey. So, guys, thank you so much for coming out. My name is Pete. That's Edwin. Guys, episode number 24 we're at, and we'll see you next time. All right. Peace out, everybody.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from Pete, you can follow him on Instagram at Pete Isip. Thanks again, and see you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.